Hello everybody.
Hi there.
Great to see you as always. Today I'm very proud to present another installment in the series that I've been working on, where we share stories and quotes from Americans who were born into slavery. I've been doing this since February, but 3 weeks ago, I believe, at our Juneteenth rally, I started a mini-series that includes a few specific themes, weaving in a lot of quotes and stories together. The one I shared then was the power of stories and the power of hearing and getting to know the people who tell them. Today, I would like to talk about love stories and stories of falling in love and romance, things that we so often overlook despite the fact that they are importantly humanizing for people who have been dehumanized for so long. And you will notice very quickly, this will not serve to diminish any of the things that they went through, but I do hope it gives us a broader, fuller understanding of the people that they were. Once again, this is mostly from the National Slave Narrative Project from the early 1900s, and it is written in the vernacular that they spoke it in, out of respect. I will be reading it fairly close to how it is written, but I will be changing some words and phrases to make sure it's something I can say and am comfortable saying. To start, I want to share the story of Tempie Durham. Tempie Durham, when interviewed, was 103 years old on 1312 Pine Street, Durham, North Carolina. I was 31 years old when the surrender came. That made me sure old. Near about 103 years have passed over this white head of mine. I've been here. I expect I'm the oldest black person in Durham. It's been so long that I damn near forgot as much as the new generation knows or is ever gonna know. The garden and the spinning room was full of folks. I can still hear them spinning their wheels round, turning and humming, and hear the slaves while they spin, singing. Mammy Rachel stayed in the dyeing room. There was nothing she didn't know about dyeing. She knew every kind of root, bark, leaf, and berry that made red, blue, green, or whatever color she wanted. They had a big shelter where they set pots over the coals. Rachel would fill the pots with water, then she put the roots in the bark to boil the juices out. After the wool and cotton was done, then be carded and spun thread. She'd take hanks of drap them and put them in a pot of boiling dye. She stirred them round and up and down with a stick. And when she would hang them on the line in the sun, there was every color of the rainbow. When they dripped dry, they were sent to the weaving room, where they were in the blankets of all things. When I grew up, I married Exter Durham. He belonged to Mice Snarps Durham, who had the plantation across the county line in Orange County. We had a big wedding. We were married on the front porch of a big house. Master George killed the shoat, and Miss Betsy had Georgina the cook to bake a big wedding cake and iced up white as snow with a bride and groom standing in the middle holding hands. There was a table in the yard under the trees, and you ain't ever seen the likes of the eats. There was some wedding. I had on a white wedding dress, white shoes, and long white gloves that come to my elbow. And Miss Betsy done made me a wedding veil out of a white net window curtain. When she played with me the wedding march on piano, and Exter marched down Miss Betsy done put tables with roses and white candles. She had spread down a bed sheet and shown up linen sheet for us to stand on. And there was a white pillow to kneel on. Exter done gave me a wedding ring. He made it out of a big red button with his pocket knife. He done cut it so round and polished that it looked like a red satin ribbon round my finger. Then it got so thin that one day I lost it in the wash tub while I was washing clothes. Next, I want to share the words of Aunt Lucy. Aunt Lucy, his name is Lucy Dunn. She was 90 years old and interviewed in Raleigh, say it wrong every time, North Carolina. I remember when the word came that war was declared, how Miss Betsy cried and prayed for Master Peter, and how Master Peter quarreled when he walked the floor, cursing the Yankees. The war comes on just the same, and some of the men slaves were sent to Roanoke to help build the fort. Yes, ma'am, the war comes to the great house and to the slave cabins just alike. The great house was large and whitewashed, with green blinds, and the slave cabins was made of planks of slabs with plank wood floors. We had plenty to eat and near enough to wear, and we were happy. We had our fun and we had our troubles, like little whippings when we weren't good, but that wasn't often. I will never forget how Miss Betsy cried when the news of the surrender came. She said nothing, but Master Peter, he makes a speech saying he had to sell none of us, that he never whipped any of us that bad, that nobody had ever run away from him yet. Then he tells us that all who want to stay can stay for fair wages, or safer wages. Well, we stayed for 2 years, even though my pappy died a little after the surrender. Then we moved to Master Pete's other place at Wake Forest. After that, we moved back to Noose. It was just a little Baptist church in Noose, and when I first saw Big Jim Dunn, and I fell in love with him then, I reckon. He said he loved me too then, but it was still 3 Sundays before he asked to walk me home. We walked that mile home in front of my mammy, and I was so happy that I thought it a half a mile home. We ate cornbread and turnips for dinner, and it was a night before he went home. Mammy wouldn't let me walk into the porch, wouldn't let me walk into the gate. I knew it, so I just sat on the porch and wished him good night. He came every Sunday for a year, and he finally proposed. I told Mammy that I thought that I should be allowed to walk into the gate, and she said all right, if she was allowed to sit on the porch looking. That Sunday night, I did walk with Jim to the gate, and we stood under the honeysuckles that was just smelling so sweet. I heard the big old bullfrogs a-croaking by the river, and the whippoorwills hollering in the wind, in the woods. There was a big yellow moon, and I reckon Jim did love me. Anyhow, he said so, and asked me to marry him, and he squeezed my hand. I told him I'd think it over, and the next day I told him I'd have him. He ain't kissed me yet, but the next Sunday, he asks my mama for me. She says that she'll have to have a talk with me and let him know. Well, that weekend she talked to me, told me how seriously getting married was, and that it lasts a powerfully long time. I told her that I know that, but I'm ready, and I'm ready to try, and that I intend to make a go of it. On Sunday night, Mammy tells Jim that he can have me, and you see him with a giant grin. He comes to me without a word and picks me up out of that chair, and there in the moonlight, kisses me right before Mama, who was crying. The next Sunday, we was married in the Baptist church in Noose. I had a white dress, though times were hard. We lived together for 55 years, and we always loved each other. He ain't never cursed me out or anything. We had our fusses, we had our troubles, but we trusted in the Lord, and we got through. I loved him during life, and I love him now, though he's been dead for 12 years. At this point, the woman with her long white hair bowed in her head stopped and sobbed for a moment. Then she began again unsteadily. We had 8 children, but only 4 of them are still living now. The ones living are James, Sidney, Helen, and Florence, who was named for Florence Nightingale. I can't be here so much longer now, because I'm getting too old and feeble. And I want to go to Jim, anyhow. The old woman wipes her eyes. I think of him all the time. But it seems like we were young again. Every time I smell the honeysuckles or see a yellow moon. Thank you.